Hello everyone, good afternoon. A very good afternoon to you all. Assuming you're watching us from the US, UK, or wherever in the world you're watching us. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on your zone and your timeline for today. Is your award-winning writer, Dr. Engineer Ephraim, Jemack Properties. So today I did it proper to talk to you about something that I feel you'll be interested to know much about. My task, like I do tell people that know me, is to ensure that I provide valuable information that will safeguard your investments in the real estate industry. So that is what informed my decision this afternoon to talk to you about ROW and why it matters. ROW and why it matters. You may ask, what is this ROW? What is it? What does it stand for? So ROW is an acronym for right of way. It's an acronym for right of way. I want my friends to come online because this is a live presentation. Remember, it's your award-winning writer, Dr. Engineer Ephraim, Jemack Properties. So, right of way. What is right of way, you may ask? And why does it matter? Why should you factor it into your property acquisition? So that's what I want to talk to you about today, so that you will remain informed. You would have valuable information that will guide your decision in the real estate industry. Remember, funds for investment do not come easy. So your hard-earned money needs to be protected. So how can you protect your hard-earned money in the real estate industry? Particularly if you are the type that like properties that are facing the highways, roadway, along major ways. You need to be very careful. You need to have this information I want to talk to you about today. Right of way. Why does it matter? I'm going to make a detailed video about this, where I will be showing you by pictures and other, videos that will help you know why it is very important to be careful about this. You may have been hearing about demolition of buildings, and sometimes the government will put up a statement that this building is built along the canal or waterways. Okay? You also hear that these buildings encroach into the right of way, and so the government mark them for demolition. You see that X, right? Demolish. You see that X is frightening. Personally, as an investor, I am frightened if my property is marked, and they ask me to shift it back. What are you shifting? How can you shift a building? A building is a fixed asset. So when you position it, you've positioned it. So the right thing to do is from the onset is to ask questions if you are in doubt about minimum setbacks that you should have before building any structure. It's very important to have that information so that you don't go into confrontation. Right, we are back. The network is kind of fluctuating, but we are back. So what I'm saying is that in order not to get, in conflict or confrontation with the authorities, it's important to get informed about right of ways. So that is why I'm making this video today, to help you, get you informed about minimum setbacks that must be observed if you want to buy a property or set up your building development. So, right of way refers to the minimum setback or the minimum distance to be observed between building line and property boundary. The minimum setback that must be observed between building line and property boundary. The property boundary could be waterway, it could be a railway, it could be infrastructure like the road network, it could be utilities like high tension or power line. These are boundaries. So what is the minimum setback you must observe from this infrastructure like road, like electricity, power line, like waterways and all that? You need that information. It is very, very important to get informed so that you do not make mistake. Any mistake you make, you are going in for it. Because the money that sell land might tell you buy, and you quickly put your money in. Immediately you put your money in, you are fixed. So when the government decides to come to that zone and ensure to implement what the law says, you are at risk. The young man have gone. He's collected your money. He has collected your money, and that hard-earned money is gone. So it's very important to be informed about right of way so that you will make the right investment decision when you want to buy landed properties or you want to buy building, you understand, in a particular location. Watch and observe those rights of ways. Like I said before, it is a setback that is minimum setback from the building line to the property boundary. And what is property boundary? I said that property boundary are boundaries like infrastructure, like road network. That's road infrastructure. You have power line. Okay, what are the minimum setback you should observe from the power line to your building line? What are the minimum setback you should observe from your roadway, okay, from the roadway to your building line? What are the minimum setback you should observe from a waterway to your building line? So that minimum setback is what we call right of way. According to Nigerian law, there are specified right of way in several infrastructures. The federal government have their right of way, standard right of way, from the federal road network. They have a defined right of way. The state governments have defined right of way from state government roads. You must know this information. Okay? Then the local governments also have their own defined right of way according to the local government ordinance or the laws of the governing the local government. So I want you to stick around because I'm going to make sure that I provide you as much information as possible that could help you to know the standard rules for setback or right of way in Nigeria. So that is why I'm making this live video. I want as many of my followers that are online currently to connect down so that they will listen to this information. And if you go to my page, maybe in like 3 days from today, I'm making this video, you can also have the opportunity to watch a detailed video on right of way and why it matters in real estate industry. Welcome, Samson Sunday. Welcome. I appreciate that you connected and you are joining. Please stick around, watch this video to the end, because I'm going to provide some information that will be very helpful to you or to your followers. Right, let's dive right in and talk about some of the standards that the law supports in Nigeria. If you listen recently, the Lagos State government has to put out a statement concerning the Lekki-Epe Expressway, the 6-lane dual carriage Lekki-Epe Expressway. Okay? They put out a statement warning residents about buying properties within the right of way. The Lagos State government were specific in saying that the right of way for that Lekki-Epe Expressway was 93 meters. 93 meters was the right of way for Lekki-Epe Expressway. In other words, what that simply means is that you must not buy any land or any property that is built within the right of way. The government have reasons why they reserve the right of way. Even though they may have taken a small section of the road for immediate development, observing the right of way of that particular structure will give the government an opportunity to expand in some infrastructure that they want to build along that roadway. So if the residences or the neighbors in that community do not observe the right of way set by the government in such road network, what it means is that government will find it difficult when they are ready to install or do some improvement on that road. For example, recently, if you go to the road leading to Dangote Refinery, because the inhabitants have encroached into the right of way of that road, there was need to do massive demolition. There was need to do massive demolition, both the left and the right of that road, in order to recover the right of way designed for that road. Some areas have to go back as much as 10-15 meters, some 25 meters, in order to recover the right of way. So that road is federal government road, and ordinarily it should have about 90 meters. That's the minimum setback approved by the law for federal highways. It has to be what? 90 meters. 90 meters is equivalent of 75 or 60 feet. Sorry, one moment. Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. It's a network issue. So what I was saying is this, the 90 meters is the minimum, about 75 feet or 60 feet from the center of the roadway. So wherever you want to buy. So your fence, assuming you have property in that zone, should fall after 90 meters from the center of that road. That is how to calculate the right of way. So if you determine the center of the road, from that center towards this way, you must leave about 45 meters. Toward this side, you must leave 45 meters. In all, the road should have 90 meters right of way. Then when you come to the state-owned roads, we have state-owned roads, internal roads. If you go to Ikoyi, all the roads navigating around Ikoyi are all state roads. If you go to Surulere, all the roads within Surulere axis are all state roads. If you go to places like Orile, you go to Ojo, you go to Alimosho, you go to Ikeja, you go to all those aspects of Lagos. The interlinked road network are all within the bound we call state roads. Those roads have as minimum setback 60 meters. They have as minimum setback 60 meters. What it means is that 30 meters from the center to the property line where you want to build. Okay? You must check the center of that road, so wherever you want to build should be 30 meters. To the right or to the left. That is state standard, supported and backed by the law. Then you come to local government. Local government is 24 meters. 24 meters in most cases. In some cases it can be 18 meters. In some other cases it can be 15 meters. In some other cases it can be 12 meters. 6 meter right of way respectively from the center of to the property line. Just one moment, please. Please, I'm in a call. I will call you back. So give me 10 minutes. So that is it. I'm sorry. Sorry for this break in transmission. Right? Now, there are some access roads or street roads. These street roads have as their right of way 6 meters and 9 meters from the edges. So what it means is that if you have an access road within the streets, you should observe minimum of 6 meters from the edge of the road. Minimum of 6 meters from the edge of the road to where you build your house. Do you understand? That is what you should do. You know, the edge of the road, so your building line should be what? 6 meters. If the place is a street. Do you get? Remember, we have interstate roads. Those are the things I said they are secondary highways. The primary highways are the federal government roads that interlink states. Okay? From Lagos to Benin, Lagos, or Benin Expressway, that is federal highway. So any road, any building you want to build along that axis, you must observe a minimum of 90 meters. Then if you are building on a street, state government road, which is secondary, there are some state government roads which are secondary that are also connected to the federal roads. You have to observe about 60 meters from the center of the road to the building line. Okay? Then local government, you are going to observe 6 meters respectively from the center where applicable. Then access road or streets. The streets in the estates, the streets in the communities where we live. Some estates also give you that required setback, which is supposed to be 6 meters from the edge of the street road. That is where you would put your building line. Okay? So, why do we need to observe all these minimum setback? That's the question I want to answer. But before I dive into that, I want to talk a little about the required setback with water bodies. You know ocean, like the Atlantic Ocean that run around Lagos. Right now, the government is building the coastal road. Okay? the minimum setback from the ocean to where the road should be is about what? 150 meters. 150 meters from the ocean boundary to wherever that road will be is a minimum setback of 150 meters. Okay? So if you want to get federal government to approve you building in the coastal line, you must be ready to observe that minimum setback. Then there are some lagoon, okay? Lagoon and river. For lagoon, you must observe 50 meters. Then for river, you must observe 15 meters from the boundary of the river. You observe 15 meters. And some areas are seasonal. There are some waterways that are seasonal. During rains, you see water pass there. After rain, you don't see anything. You must observe at least 15 meters from that waterway or seasonal routes. Then you have some canal, channels, small channels in between. And this is where people, abuse most often. You see Omonile sell waterway. So the community will not have a way to drain off the water from that community. That's also bad. When you see a functional government in place, they will come and demolish whatever structure that is on the path of water. So to avoid that, it is very important to observe these minimum setbacks that we refer to as right of way, which have been approved by the law. Okay. Now, how about rail lines? We have implementation of some rail lines in the country currently. What do you need to observe in that respect? There are some required setbacks. Minimum for railway is about 21 meters. You need to observe a minimum setback of 21 meters from the railway line. So if you get to the edge of the rail line, you can only build from 21 meters up. Okay? And some areas which are unmanned, where no human is staying at all, the minimum setback is 60 meters. 60 meters. Let me give you an example. I once joined a train from Yaba to Ibadan. If you move along the path, you move past Orile, okay, Ebute Meta, and you start going down to Ibadan. After you leave the livable environment, you are going to see some unmanned area, which is complete bush. Those unmanned area require 60 meters because there's no one to guide or to raise alarm if the train is coming. So people that want to build in those areas must be far away from the rail line. Okay? So that is the minimum setback for that. Then there is minimum setback required, okay, before you are building line on power line. I did mention this before. You see the government complaining in most cases, people build and build even under the high tension cable. That's very dangerous. Assuming something happened and the cable dropped down, people will die. So we have many reasons why government sign law and approve that one should not build in those areas. So for 11 kVA power line, we have 11 kVA, we have 33 kVA, we have substation, and we have 330 kilometer power line. All of these have their specific setbacks, which must be observed. The major setback for 11 kV power line is 6 meters. 6 meters. So where you have 11 kV power line, you give about 6 meters from it, and you can have your building line. Then for 33 kV is 9 meters. So if your power line falls in that zone, you give about 9 meters before you can build your property. For substations, you have a minimum setback of 12 meters. And for 330 kVA, you must observe 25 meters. So these are the minimum setbacks that must be observed for power line. Okay? There are some technical requirements that you need to know about minimum setback. Then, if you come into an estate, or you want to build or you buy land in an estate, what are the minimum setback you should observe for residential, minimum setback for commercial properties, minimum setback for airspace? Okay? These things are important. And I can tell you that the government have signed laws that regulate minimum setback. So when you observe these laws, it will be easier for your property or building to get approval. But when you don't observe them in your design, the government will not approve it. And that makes that building illegal. That makes that building what? Illegal. So it's very important that we have this information, we know it, so that we will ask our surveyors and people that we are buying land from how they are able to determine this, so that you will stand protected. Remember, my name remains Dr. Engineer Ephraim. I give you valuable information so that you can make the best real estate investment decision. So this is one of my added service that I do, by making sure I give you information that when you apply, you will not lose money in real estate. But if you don't apply it, tomorrow a government might just come up and say, all persons in this zone, remove your property in this part because you built on the right of way. A stubborn government will not think it twice. They will just bring dozer and just sweep off everything. Okay? So this information is very important. For residential, you must observe about 6 meters in front of your building. 6 meters in front of your building for residential. Then for substandard, okay, you must observe 9 meters. Others could be as specified by the approval order or the town planning committee. So they may regulate the setback from your fence or from the roadway in those cases. Now, in between buildings, main building and BQ, what do you do? You know, the substandard also, the sides of the building. Standard is about 3 meters. The substandard is about 1.5 meters, the sides of your building. So from your fence, you should observe 1.5 meters by the side, by the left side and by the right side, and also from the rear. Okay? Minimum setback is very important when you are building. Okay? Then again, if you are, building, okay, we have said something for, cross ventilation and all that, these things are approved for you to have them in place. Okay? Remember what I said? 3 meters between main building and BQ. 4.5 meters in special areas, 6 meters between buildings of 2 floors. Okay? 6 meters between buildings of 2 floors is very important. And you must observe this. Okay? So these are very important information that you need to have to avoid coming into conflict with the government or regulatory authorities in the real estate space. Okay? I will be talking about other types of setbacks and why you must avoid congestion in some areas in subsequent videos. But for today, I don't want to bore you with so many information. I have provided the basics, the standards, and you need to know this information. To recap what I have said, I did say that currently in Nigerian law, we have federal government roads, We have state roads, we have local council roads. The minimum setback for federal government roads is 90 meters. The minimum setback for state government roads is about what? 60 meters. And then the minimum setback for local governments and other facilities is what? About 24 meters. You need to observe all of this. Then from the roadway, assuming you are in the street, you must observe minimum of 6 to 15 meters, as the case may be, depending on the kind of structure you are putting in place. Please, if you have questions about this submission and you want to impute on it, feel free to comment on my Facebook page, because I'm going to drop this on Facebook. It will be there for 30 days before Facebook will delete it. So please, feel free, comment, and let me know what you feel about this regulatory information and how helpful it can be. Okay? Please go right away to our Jemack Properties and follow us on YouTube, X, Instagram, and of course LinkedIn. We are on all the social media platforms. You can also follow my personal account on Facebook, Kwakauzor Ephraim Ahamefla. You can see it highlighted. Okay? Feel free and connect with me. I will provide you any information or question that you ask with respect to real estate and how to protect your real estate investment. Until I come your way next time, I remain Dr. Engineer Ephraim, Jemack Properties. Bye for now. And thank you so much, Samson, for connecting and sticking around to get this vital information. Okay, Benga Famakinwa is just coming. You're just coming in, and I'm almost about leaving. That's my bosom friend. Benga, how are you? I'm happy you connected to my live video today. Okay? I've been talking about right of way and why it matters. Okay? We are not out there to, ask people to come and do investments in real estate. We also provide valuable information that will help them to safeguard their investment or avoid losing their investment. So that is why I'm making this video this afternoon, to keep my audience informed about regulatory matters concerning right of way. So before now, I have explained that right of way has to do with minimum setback between the building line and the property boundary. The building line and the property boundary. The property boundary could be a road infrastructure, it could be a power line, it could be waterway, it could be a railway, and other public infrastructure. So what are the minimum setbacks that must be observed before you set up your building? That is what I talked about in this live video today. Okay? And I have been able to look at what the law is saying concerning it. Okay? The law allows the federal government to ensure and enforce that about 90 meters is left between the federal highway and whatever building someone wants to build. So if you want to build along a major highway like the Lekki Expressway, or you want to build along a major highway like Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Lagos-Orebini Expressway, or any of them that scatter all over the country, you must be willing to build beyond 90 meters. For the Lekki Expressway, the government have expressly said that the right of way for that road is 93 meters. What it means is that you must determine where that lapses before you can start bargaining with a landowner or property owner to buy off. Else, you put yourself in harm's way and the government could come tomorrow and demolish your building. And we do not find joy in such a development. So that is why we are keeping you informed so that you can make the best real estate investment decision. My name remains Dr. Engineer Ephraim. I run Jemack Properties, and a lot of people have bought property through us. And of course, we've not been involved in such properties that fall into right of way. We get to make sure that we do our due diligence very well, so that the property that we are bringing on our platform are properties that are verified and that you can always be sure that it meets regulatory requirements for such property. So we have mentioned about federal highways. We've also talked about state roads. There are some major state roads which might not actually be the federal highway, but linking two local governments. Roads that link two local governments in a state like Lagos, they have link road between Ikoyi, Obalende, and VR. You have another link road that connects Surulere with Ejibo, Amowodofi, and areas like that. Those are state roads. So there are minimum setback approved by the government for those roads, and that's about 60 meters. What it means is that from the center of the road to your right or to your left, you must determine 15 meters before you can build. From the center of the road to your right or to your left, you must determine 30 meters. Sorry, not 15. 30 meters. Okay? Before you can build. Then for local government roads, major local government roads, you have about 24 meters minimum setback. Then from access road, we are talking about access road inside estates or even where we live. We must give at least 6 meters. At least 6 meters, and in some cases 9 meters from the edge of the road to where your building line should be. When you take time to observe these minimum setbacks, you will not stand on government's way, and you can legally challenge any government that attempts to demolish your building, particularly when you have building approval